We've got some breaking news and update on this story where two lawmakers were shot at, one of whom is dead. Melissa Hortman, the top Democrat in the state house, and State Senator John Hoffman remains in critical condition. Now, we actually have the name of the person who is suspected to have done this killing. We also have papers that were found in the suspect's car and some insight into the manifesto that was discovered as well. And I have Tim Walz's response. And the suspected shooter's Facebook page was discovered, and it gives some insight into his political leanings. So let's just get right into all of it. So yeah, State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark, died in the attack at their home in the Minneapolis suburbs. State Senator John A. Hoffman and his wife, Yvette, were shot multiple times at their house nearby and remain alive as of this recording. The police are saying that they're not able to offer details on the type of weapon that was used in the attacks. Now, police officers are stopping all vehicles leaving the subdivision where Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband were killed, and they're inspecting every car before allowing them to pass. We have a witness speaking about John Hoffman, who was shot at, and they said they woke up to loud popping sounds. This person ran over to the window and caught a glimpse of a car driving away with red, blue, and white lights flashing. Now, the police have said that the suspect was impersonating a police officer, and Levi Strand, who saw this, assumed the bangs had been fireworks until the street was flooded with emergency responders a few minutes later. And in case you're wondering, the protests are still happening. Governor Tim Walz has said this: out of an abundance of caution, my Department of Public Safety is recommending that people do not attend any political rallies today in Minnesota until the suspect is apprehended. But I spoke to the people organizing these protests, and they said that they are still on. So it is up to you whether or not you feel comfortable going. I personally believe this is not a time to get scared and stay at home. This is a time to show up even more. I can't help but think about how Melissa Hortman can't be there to protest now. And so it's imperative we're all out there protesting because she'll never be able to again. It's so important. All right, now the person who is identified as a suspect is Vance Boelter. And there's a lot of different disinformation going on about his political leanings. They're saying he's far left. He's not far left. This is him. These are the pages he was a member of, or might be still a member of if he's alive: the Voice of the Martyrs, Alliance Defending Freedom, Evangelist Reinhard Bonk, which I'm assuming is a Christian evangelist, Christ for the Nations of Institute. Doesn't sound like a far left person to me. Does it sound like that to you? And in the suspect's car were these signs saying "No Kings," and we're not sure why those signs were there. Maybe he was planning on going to one of the rallies and causing even more destruction. We don't know. That's one of the reasons why Tim Walz is saying that out of abundance of caution, people should not go. But like I said, the organizers of the protest who I spoke with said it is still on. It's just up to you whether or not you feel like you feel safe attending. I would recommend going. President Donald Trump has said this: I have been briefed on the terrible shooting that took place in Minnesota, which appears to be a targeted attack against state lawmakers. Our Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and the FBI, led by Kash Patel, are investigating the situation, and they will be prosecuting anyone involved to the fullest extent of the law. Does anyone feel safe knowing that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are on the case? Are you kidding me? He goes, such horrific violence will not be tolerated in the United States of America. Well, I hate to say it, but Donald Trump has created this political environment that we're in right now. He has turned the temperature up so high, sending the military into Los Angeles, using the military against private citizens. I just don't know how the temperature drops from here, because Donald Trump is doing everything he can to ensure that it stays at the highest level possible. Now, the police are reporting that a manifesto was discovered in the suspect's car.
Our community helping us with this, so it's very complex and working on it. But I will tell you, when we did a search of the vehicle, there wasn't a manifesto that identified many lawmakers and other officials. We immediately made alerts to the state, who took action on alerting them and providing security where necessary, and that's about. I'll stop there.
We don't know what it says. I'm sure this will come out eventually. A reporter on Twitter, Ken Klippenstein, quite often gets these things early and in advance, and when we get that, I will bring that to you. This also just came out and is terrifying. The gunman who shot the two lawmakers was wearing a latex mask that was captured on a security camera here. As you can see, he is in that fake police uniform and in a latex mask, so no one could see who the gunman is. I'm really surprised that the police have still been able to identify a suspect despite this, but this just shows that this was 100% premeditative, and this man wanted to do what he did. The right is predictably being awful around this. Remember what I told you, that suspect is clearly not left-wing, but they're trying to say this is a coordinated attack from Democrats. This disgusting person, Alec Lace, says Melissa Hortman sounded fearful after voting to repeal healthcare for illegal aliens, almost as if she knew her base would become unhinged. This is fucking disgusting to do around someone who has just been assassinated.
I know that people will be hurt by that vote, and we worked very hard to try to get a budget deal that wouldn't include that provision.
This person goes on to say, what was her vote the motive? What? It's just disgusting. Micah Irfin fact-checked this, saying the senator that was just shot by the same assassin voted the opposite way on this exact same bill. Dumbass. Yeah, you fucking dumbass. How dare you invoke someone who has just been assassinated to try to make political points? It's disgusting. And this is clearly has to do more with the fact that they're Democrats than anything else. And we'll learn more, but the person who has been identified, if that person, it turns out, is the shooter, I don't think it's because these folks are voting against giving undocumented immigrants health care. Doesn't make sense to me. Here's Tim Walz's statement. Today, Minnesota has lost a great leader and lost a friend. We are not a country that settles our differences at gunpoint. We have demonstrated again and again in our state that it is possible to peacefully disagree, that our state is strengthened by civic public debate. We must stand united against all forms of violence, and I call on everyone to join me in that commitment. Yeah, I really do hope people heed that word. And Facebook has actually now removed the page of Vance Boelter showing that this is likely the person that's the suspect. I'm told by a police source in Minnesota that the suspect in the shootings in the Minnesota state lawmakers is Vance Boelter. It appears it is the same Boelter who was appointed to the governor's Workforce Development Board in 2019 by Governor Tim Walz. He was appointed to the governor's Workforce Development Council in 2016 by then Governor Dayton. So this person is connected. We will certainly learn more. I hope they find this piece of shit and they prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. And this is a disturbing time in our country. It goes without saying that this should not be happening, but it is. And like I said before, I don't know how the temperature drops when we have a president, a leader who insists on making it as hot as possible when it comes to the political climate in this country. And I just think too that it's so imperative that we speak out against this. We protest peacefully, and we make it known that we don't want this to be our America. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like in the video. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.